People tend to forget those who suffer. Geronda, you have said that the more we deprive ourselves of human consolation, the more we receive divine consolation. Is this why prayer is felt more when one is hungry? Yes, but a hungry person can also understand the hungry. A satiated person cannot understand the suffering of the hungry. I heard that somewhere people throw away food, and down the street there are people, some Greek origin Russian refugees from Pontus, who have no food to eat. These poor people live in hot houses and corrugated iron shacks. Let's say that those who throw away the food do not know of the needy people nearby. Can't they at least ask and find out? They throw the food away. We refuse to give away even things that we no longer need. It is a sin when people hold on to things they no longer need and refuse to give them away to those who really need them and are unable to buy them. That for me is the greatest hell. At the hour of judgment Christ will tell us, "For I was hungry and you gave me no food." Some people who have everything say, "There are no poor people today." They don't think of others. They don't put themselves in other people's shoes so as not to be disturbed and lose their peace of mind. Then how can they possibly find the poor and the hungry? But if you think of others, you will seek out the poor and find out what they need. There are so many orphans who have no one to show them some human warmth. People tend to forget those who suffer. Their mind is on the wealthy who have everything, and they compare themselves with them instead of those who are suffering. If only they could think, for example, of some northern Epirotes who've been imprisoned for 20 years in a tiny cell simply for making the sign of the cross. Then perhaps they would see things differently. It is a terrible thing. We cannot even imagine it. Do you know what it means to be in a 1 by 1 meter cell? The prisoner cannot sit up, lie down, or even stand up. As for a window, there may be a hole in the wall. Geronda, that is more like a grave than a prison. At least in the grave one is spread out flat, and the tortures that go on in those prisons. There is so much suffering today. The world is making weapons and has abandoned those who suffer. In Africa I saw people eat camel droppings. The people there have bodies that don't look like bodies. They look like frogs. Their chest is like a little basket of bamboo strips. Why am I troubled? We have everything and can feel the pain of others, and yet we still want to go to paradise. When I went to the holy monastery of Stomion in 1958, there was in Konitz a Protestant who was supported financially from America and who had proselytized 80 families. He had also constructed a building where the families gathered. Those poor people had great needs, and because of their great poverty, they were forced to become Protestants, for they were then helped financially. One day, one of them said to me, "Because of my great need, I would even become a Jew." When I heard this, I said to myself, "Something must be done." I gathered a few people who were somewhat better off and could help, and I talked to them. At the time, these people were entirely worldly, but at least were well disposed. One soul in particular, although entirely worldly, then was great-hearted. When I saw her, I said to myself, "On the outside she looks like a rotten branch, but inside she is good kindling." We decided to collect some money and give it to the poor families. Whatever money was gathered, I told them to go and give it themselves to the poor so that they themselves might be helped spiritually. This way even their heart was hard as stone. It would soften and become a human heart, and the gate of paradise would open for them too. Soon all of them changed heart, because they could see the suffering that existed around them and did not have the heart to go out and have fun. They would tell me, "You have disarmed us. How can we go now to entertain ourselves?" They also came close to the church. Later I learned that one of them became a chanter, but the 80 families too. by the grace of God, returned to the Orthodox Church, one after the other. Later, when the American Protestants came to see the work of a Protestant who had proselytized the families, they took him to court because he no longer had any followers. Geronda, some people will readily ask for help when they are in need, while others say nothing. Many are ashamed and do not want to be exposed. These people are in greater need, and any help given to them matters more. I know of 2 doctors who for some reason became so poor that they did not have money to buy even some aspirin. For someone who has love in him, it's not enough to simply give to anyone who happens to ask for charity. He seeks to find people who have some need in order to support him. My mother always looked to find such cases.